Star porgs, nothing but star porgs on every aisle at Target. It's only star porgs.
They're seriously banking on the porgs to be a huge success.
Okay, remember when we all saw BB-8 and we're like, oh, they made him all cutesy so they can sell toys, but then you watch the movie and you were like, oh, you know what, BB-8, he actually serves a good purpose, he's a good character, I like him, I'm not going to make comparisons between him and R2-D2, he stands on his own, he is not here just to sell toys, even that cutesy design of his actually makes sense when you consider the idea of a robot having to roll over sand dunes. The porgs, they did not give a fudge.
They didn't do shit.
The porgs are in here just to go, buy me, buy me.
Honestly, I was more into the giraffe dogs and the ice foxes.
Giraffe dogs?
The racing animals?
Oh,
yeah.
I thought you meant the giant thing that Mark had.
God, no.
That's why I was looking at you like, what?
Those did not look like giraffe dogs at all.
They look like giraffes because they had the long neck.
But they weren't. They didn't look like dogs.
That's why I was like, yeah. The other ones, I don't see the giraffe in there that much. I see the dog part, but okay.
Well, they were like very tall and they had spots.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I said that.
Okay.
Yeah, like now those I would buy.
Oh, I'd buy the hell out of those little like ice foxes.
I know, they're cute.
And the ice foxes serve a point in this movie.
So did the racing dog giraffes. So it's
the porgs are here just for jokes and just to sell toys. And it's weird. I was listening to another critic out there and they brought up a good point. If this was not Star Wars, a franchise that we all knew at this point was about selling toys, would we have thought twice about the porgs? Like if you just been watching a regular sci-fi thing and then a porg popped up, and you were like, well, that's a weird side joke, but okay, I got some laughs out, whatever.
I feel like
this, because it's a franchise that has been just banking itself off of its toys for decades now, we all look at it like, we know what you are.
It's like, I seriously thought the porgs were going to be like the Ewoks or something like that.
They're not as bad as the Ewoks.
No.
Because here's the thing. At least the porgs, I respect the porgs for not doing anything more than the Ewoks, because the Ewoks defeat the Empire with rocks and sticks after these badass mofos have been built up for 3 movies before that. It's like, oh, who's gonna take them down? Oh, little tiny teddy bears we just got introduced to. The porgs are at least there. And I kind of, in a weird way,
The porgs defeat the dark side. They just throw themselves at the giant cannon.
No, Rey just picks one up and throws him at Kylo Ren. Just a shot of it flying through the air. Kylo Ren is like, what the hell is that? Oh, my scar again. Hey everyone, it's me, Aaron.
I'm Michelle.
And this is our post-Geekout reaction for Star Wars The Last Jedi. Now, for anybody who's not seen a post-Geekout reaction, I almost said, for anybody who's not seen a Star Wars before, this is gonna be a weird one for you to start with. But for anybody who's not seen a post-Geekout reaction before, it's not a review. I am doing a review on this, and the review, I sit down, think of everything I want to say, write it all out, give it a score at the end, and there are no spoilers. The post-Geekout reaction is just our open, honest discussion about the thing that we just watched, and that does include spoilers. However, I'm going to try and save a lot of the spoilers until the end. However, these are just conversations between us, so I can't guarantee where they're going to go, but we're going to try and hold off on spoilers until the end, because I know a lot of people out there have not yet seen this movie because it is being booked out everywhere. And also, I know there's a lot of people out there who just want to know our opinions on this thing, and they don't want to wait for the review because the review is going to take a few days to get up. So we're going to hold off on spoilers until the end. But I will just go ahead and say, I really dug this film.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know if I liked it more than Force Awakens, though, but I like parts of this way more than Force Awakens. Like, to me, this movie has problems. In fact, there's a couple of things I point out as like, oh, I don't agree with this decision at all, but I still don't think those moments are bad. I just think they're like, whatever, okay.
It could use a little improvement, but nothing serious. Like.
But the reason why I kind of get so frustrated at those moments in this movie is because when this movie's good, it's really good.
Yes, it is.
God damn. This movie, there came a moment in here in which I was like, man, I'm just not feeling okay right now. I don't know what it is. And then I realized it's because for the last 10 minutes, my heart had been beating non-stop. Like, yeah, my adrenaline had been going nuts for like 10 minutes straight, and I was starting to wear myself out watching this movie.
Yeah, like literally, like after the scroll, it like cuts to like a giant fight in space. So,
which that's one of the weird things I find about this is that the sense of time in this movie is one thing that I kind of have to point to, because this whole movie, it's weird. This feels like this has the least amount of stuff happening of any Star Wars film, because it's 3 different storylines, but each of those storylines are one thing. And eventually they all do meet.
yeah.
But for the vast majority of this film, we are following the Rebel ship as it is just flying away from the Empire ship, and they're just barely staying out of reach of the Empire ship. And it's basically just a race against time because their fuel supply is dropping, so it just keeps cutting back to everybody else doing things, then cutting back to them like, all right, our fuel is now at this. And then it's just, yeah, Empire keeps firing, and it's like, there's not a lot happening here, and I know it's there because we're supposed to be looking at the amount of fuel that they have dropping and feeling that tension of, oh, time is running out. But it is kind of odd that it's like, I don't know, when you see the other stuff that's happening in here, it feels like days are passing.
Yes.
But I'm like, how much fuel did you have on this thing? Especially the Rey and Luke storyline, that goes on for days. But then you cut to like Finn and Rose having to go to this casino planet to find this hacker. It feels like that took place only like maybe 5-10 hours tops. And they're all happening kind of at the same time, so it is kind of odd, like, the timing of this thing. Which you can easily explain that by just going, oh, well, you know, you saw Dunkirk, things happen at different timelines in this. Yeah, I can understand that. But it is just kind of odd to see us, like, cutting back and forth between, like, Rey, 3 days have passed. Finn, 2 minutes have passed. It's like, all right, it's interesting. Also, one problem that I will also say that I had, that casino planet, while we're talking about it, it's cool, and the purpose of it is really good. Because basically there comes a moment in which they discover that the Empire is able to track them through light speed, so they have to then go and find a code breaker on this casino planet so that they can then go onto the Empire ship and dismantle their
tracker.
Break into the room that has the tracking device in it. So then they have to just, Finn and Rose have to pick up and go off to this casino planet. And it was just so odd that, like, there's a reason for it. There's a reason for them to do that. But it's just so weird to me that it's like, okay, race against time, Empire firing on them, this one thing happening here, and then, bam, casino planet. It feels almost like a completely separate story that they had to force into this thing.
Like, I feel like it's like, oh, it's a Star Wars movie, so we have to have like
the
something
cantina.
Like, yeah, we always had to have a cantina or something. It's
That's
like,
exactly what I thought when I saw it, yeah. Yeah, like, that was the other reason. It's like, again, it's a cool idea, but kind of like the Porgs, it feels like they were just like, we gotta put something in there like that. We gotta have some kind of like, and there was that thing in the last film when they go to, I forget her name, but basically their version of the cantina in the last film. But I bought that more because they were going from place to place and they needed information to make sense that they would go to this place. It really feels like, okay, you have this storyline going of them racing and having to run from the Empire, and then they had to stop and come up with an excuse for them to go to a cantina-like place. That was kind of my problem with it. But still, that place serves like a good purpose because you never ask like who's funding this war between the Empire and the Rebels, and everybody on that casino planet, yeah, they all make money off of this war, and there comes a great moment in which they discover like, yeah, man, the guy who is selling stuff to the Empire, he's selling stuff to the Rebels too. Like, they're profiteering off both sides of this. Like, all right, that's actually kind of a cool thing to put in here.
It's like, I like that they actually like took a different take on the cantina. It's like, instead of like this grungy like hole in the wall that like only like the scum of the galaxy stays, it's like, it's very like Las Vegas where all the richest
Except
and
it's
powerful,
still the scum of the galaxy, but
but a different kind.
Different kind of scum, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that I did find to be very interesting as well. Although, again, just speaking of things that they jam in here that I felt like they just forced in here, they go to this planet to find this one hacker guy. They get arrested before they get to him. Then they go to jail, and Benicio del Toro is in there as some, like, just stuttering, low-life scum guy. And then it's like, oh, also, I happen to be an even better hacker than that guy, and I will go along with you on this. And then we don't really get much like backstory or anything to that dude.
Yeah, it's like I'm assuming he might be in the next movie, maybe.
But what I think it is, I think that Disney has realized Star Wars fans love extended universe stuff where very minor characters get an entire backstory in a book or in a comic or in the cartoons.
Yeah, Boba Fett.
Yeah. There's a perfect example of that, but I mean, I'm even talking like the Star Wars fans before Disney bought and like there was all this extended universe stuff, those two guys who Luke runs into at the canteen and they chop one of their arms off, they have their entire like, you know, book series out there. They have their own thing. Like, I really think he might pop up in the next one, but I have a feeling we're not gonna get like squat information on him. I have a feeling Disney's like, if we just like tease some guy, we can write an entire book all about that dude. And it's like, yeah, this is a guy who feels like they have their entire backstory for him completely written out and we're never gonna see it. But if you wanna know what it is, go and buy our book. Like, that's the feeling I got to it. There's one other person in here. We'll get to that in spoilers.
It's like the original like hacker they were trying to like get to is like, he was like very James Bondish. And the moment I saw him, it's like, he does not look like he belonged in a Star Wars movie. Yeah. And then they go to jail and I find the other guy's like, okay, now this is more like a Star Wars character.
Yeah. Although this isn't the guy I was about to mention. Again, we're saving that for spoilers.
Yeah.
However, that guy there too, I guarantee he's also getting a book. It's like, yeah, dude, you just spent like, 15 minutes saying up, okay, this is the best guy. We have to find this guy. He's a high roller at this casino. He's here for this reason. And then like they go to him and it's like, they don't even get to say hi to him before they're arrested. And it's like, yeah, they're gonna do something with that guy. And he had like a girl on his arm, and when they're getting pulled away to jail, she's like, huh? What? And it's like, okay, so she's going to go, and maybe, I think, I bet what the twist is gonna be is that he's not the actual hacker, she's the hacker, and she's gonna go and rescue him, she's gonna help. But it looked like they were like, okay, well, she's kind of concerned. I bet like her and him are going to have a book together in which they're like two hacker spy people or something. It really feels like this movie has a lot of off-screen storylines going on. And I don't mean so that it really affects the main storyline. I mean just like character stuff. Like people will show up and you're like, you have your own thing going on, which I have to respect because it does make the world seem that much richer and deeper.
Yeah, exactly.
But it also kind of makes the story feel a little incomplete. Like it makes it feel like you're not giving us all the information I need to know in order to like follow this from A to B to C. Instead, sometimes there are moments where it just seems like stuff is happening in here, and the hacker to me is the best example of that.
Well, I feel like the character development for Rose is actually like an example of like an on-screen with that actually improves the moves the story along. Like,
yeah, she actually ties into this with her backstory. However, at the same time, I didn't get the attachment to Rose that I got to Finn and Rey in the last one.
Yeah, that's true.
And I kept trying to figure out why. And I was like, no, she has a story. She has a backstory. It ties into what they're talking about. But eventually it finally hit me. The reason why I didn't get the connection to Rose that I got to Finn and Rey is that we watched Finn and Rey's storylines play out. Rose's storyline is told to us.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, it's her backstory, so it is her coming in here and she has to tell it, but she's pretty much fully developed. She is where she is at the end of this movie is like that far away from where she is at the beginning of this movie, but she doesn't really have to develop.
No, it's like it was her sister basically, yeah.
Yeah, at the beginning of this movie you see Poe basically tries to take out one of the Empire's biggest like weapons, and it can like take out an entire fleet, and he ends up getting a lot of people killed because of that, including Rose's sister. So basically her storyline is she says, I'm the person who like cleans the tubes here. So she's basically, which was something I found cool about her, but I don't think they played it into her character enough, is that she was the person who basically cleaned all the tubes there. She was one of the maintenance people. Yeah. And then she has to pick up and go off and become like she has to go on this secret mission basically. When she's on the secret mission, I really got the feeling like, yeah, you're a soldier. I never got the feeling kind of like with Finn, where they keep reminding you, yeah, you were the janitor. When you see him going back into the base, he really does have this like feeling to him, kind of like, I'm talking about in Force Awakens when he goes back to the base. When he goes back there, he really does have kind of this look of like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. Like he constantly had that look of like, all right, gotta psych myself up. All right, go and be a hero time. She was already kind of in hero time, I felt like, when she went to go on the mission. And I would have dug kind of like seeing, I don't want to say like copy and paste Finn's character from the first one with her. But I felt like you could have had more development with that.
Yes, I kind of felt like because like her sister like died for a reason, she feels like she has to like pick up where she left off.
Oh, you know what? That's actually, that's a good way of looking at it. But yeah, I still did not get the connection with her that I got with Finn and Rey, simply because of how we got introduced to them. With Finn and Rey, we got to watch their characters develop throughout the whole story. Here, her development is, all right, I'm gonna go and do the thing. And then she goes and does the thing. And I was like, okay, she felt more to me like the characters in Rogue One, who I did kind of have problems with because they were very much just like, we're soldiers, we do the mission. That's what we do. And I was like, okay, all right, cool. Although, actually, I just remembered that guy who was the traitor to the rebellion in Force Awakens. He actually had some good character development. But yeah, also, there is one other problem that I had with Rose that we will talk about in the spoiler part. Because it comes at the very end of this movie, and I might be alone on this, but who knows?
All right, we'll see.
Yeah, okay. But let's go into Rey and Luke.
Yeah.
This part was awesome in the movie.
Yes, it was.
Like, anything with him. And dear God, Mark Hamill is not going to get the applause that he deserves for this, aside from Star Wars nerds. All the people in the nerd community who know Mark Hamill from his voice acting stuff, who have been waiting for people in the regular movie-going industry to applaud him and go, oh, I forgot, this guy is a good actor. They're all gonna point at him and be like, yes, see, this is what he can do. He's really damn good. I don't think regular movie-going audiences are going to, like, give him that praise, and that pisses me off. But this show ain't for regular movie-going audiences. This is for the geek community. Oh my God, Mark Hamill is good in this.
Oh, he is.
He commands every scene that he is in. And that's not to take away from Rey. We'll get to Rey in a moment, but I do just have to stop and go, it's amazing to me what they decided to do with Luke Skywalker, that they did not come in here and be like, okay, well, he's still just basically going, like, because Han Solo in the last film, he was still just Han Solo. Which I'm fine with that. Han Solo doesn't seem like a guy who would change that much in his life.
Exactly.
But Luke is now bitter and jaded, and he is like, fudge the Force sucks, everything about the Force, the Jedis, get rid of them all. And he's making like really good arguments that, you know, Star Wars was always meant to hold like real world parallels.
Yeah.
And there's stuff that you can look into here in which he's like, all that stuff that Jedi did, it led to all the bad stuff that happened too. We caused as much as anyone. And he brought up Darth Sidious in here, who was the Emperor's master, which you don't really get much backstory on that dude in the actual movies. The only thing you really got was that opera scene in episode 3, in which the Emperor's like, did I ever tell you the story of Darth Sidious the Wise? And like telling about how Darth Sidious used the Force to like create life, which is like something that I've always found really interesting. I always want to know way more about that guy. I know there is like extended universe stuff, but I want canon stuff. I want the stuff that to be mentioned in the movies. So they do bring him up a little bit, and I have been thinking this entire time, Snoke is Darth Sidious. Oh man, I bet it is. So when they mention his name, it's like, I see what you're doing here. Okay. But he mentions like Darth Sidious leading to like all this stuff, and they mention how like the Jedis leading to like the Empire rising up. I'm like, damn man, you're creating some really good arguments here. And he says he's going to give Rey like 3 lessons on the Force, and his lessons are just, here's how the Jedi screwed everything up. I was like, wow, this was not what Rey was expecting. But he has his own character arc, and it's a great character arc, but it doesn't take over the movie. He is still a supporting character to Rey because it's her time now. It's Rey and Finn and Poe's time now, but we still got to see Luke go full character arc in here. And where it ends for Luke in here, man, that is a great like spot to take Luke at. But let's see, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, I also love there is a moment in which he is training her and he's like, what do you think the Force is? And it's like, it's a thing that lets you move rocks with your mind. And I love that he goes, the Force doesn't work that way. And then he says, reach out. It's, you know, feel this thing connecting to all life and all of this. They never stop in here and say, yeah, midichlorians were bullcrap. They basically said it there, though.
Yeah, I'm glad they retconned that, but...
They basically, I can understand them not bringing it up because I can understand them going, we're not going to mention that that was even a thing. We're going to completely ignore that anyone said midichlorians at all in here. But they came in here and just defined what the Force is in a way that was like, no, this is it right here. That's what it is. I was like, done, cool, got it. Also, I really dug, there is a fight scene that you see between the two of them. I love that because I love that you can see that Luke can still hold his own in his old age, but also you can see like the potential inside of Rey. There are things in this movie that a lot of the complaints that people had about Force Awakens is that it lifted so many things from A New Hope and just kind of copied and pasted them. And I could see that, and I was even noticing it when we watched the movie for the first time. I didn't have a problem with that many of them. Only really had a problem when it got to that point where they had another Death Star. Yeah. That was the point which I was like, oh, come on. This one, there are a lot of things that I feel like are lifted beat for beat from Empire Strikes Back. However, again, kind of like why I didn't have that much of a problem with it in Force Awakens is they do some different stuff in here. Right. In fact, there even gets to a point in this movie and we're just like, oh, this is the exact same moment from Empire Strikes Back. No, it's not. Oh, that's different. But yeah, one of them is that she goes into like the cave thing. That it's a different version of the cave. But basically where Luke went in, fought Darth Vader and saw his own head underneath there. She goes in and for her, it's not about like fighting Kylo Ren. It's about like discovering who she is, who her parents are. And that was a great segment. I mean, just even visually, like having like just the rows and rows of Rey, but it wasn't just a full mirror where everything happened at once, where it's like everything happened there and then slowly moved.
It was like a wave.
It was a wave, yeah. So like there's a great moment where it's just one of her snapping her fingers and like you see like one way in the back. Like all the way across. I'm like, man, that's really damn cool. But also, they add new stuff to the Force in here, and I love that. Apparently, I have not been paying attention to a lot of the haters out there on this one, but I have been paying attention to a lot of people responding to the haters out there, which I find that interesting, is that, guys, I understand you wanting to defend something that you like from people who hate it, but if like 90% of your Twitter feed is just you defending it and arguing with the people who hated it, and not you yourself saying what you loved about it, you're not doing it the best service. You should be talking more about the positives rather than having to go up against the negatives. But from what I've been seeing, a lot of the people who have problems with this is that they added too much stuff to the continuity of the Force and to the canon of the Force, and they changed it too much. Dude, Star Wars has always done that. A great example that I saw someone bring up online is that in A New Hope, no one mentions that the Force gives you the power to shoot lightning out of your hands. Next movie, the Emperor is shooting lightning out of his hands. Dude, the Force has always been something that can be manipulated. And I dig that they're not afraid to go and like change this stuff around. And something that I loved about here is that there's a moment in which Rey is like sensing out the Force and she's sensing life and people and trees and the water and all of this stuff. And then she goes, I'm also sensing darkness. And then she just sees a giant hole there on the island with all these like moldy, rotting plants just growing all over it. I was like, what the heck is that? I am intrigued as hell. I really want to know what's going to happen with that thing. I mean, it might never come back up again, but I'm looking at that like, no, it feels like there's a backstory to this. It feels like, because this is on like some sacred Jedi island, I'm picturing like, this is where like some, like maybe the first Sith was killed and buried or something, and like his darkness is just growing out of this hole, or this is where some evil thing happened, and just some big black blemish on the spot of the Force, like, holy cow, what the hell is this thing? Because it is cool. Let's talk about Kylo Ren. We haven't really talked about him much. Sorry, I know I'm talking a lot in this one. If you ever want to interrupt,
no, it's like Snoke tells him, it's like, he's an apprentice, you're not ready, you're still a child. And yeah, he's still kind of a child, he still has his temper tantrums.
That's the thing that I dug about him in the last one, is that I looked at him kind of like, he's not Darth Vader, he's not Darth Maul. This is a kid playing cosplay who really wants to be a bad guy, and he's got unlimited power. So he can be the bad guy, but he is just like, he's still just, he wants to be grandpa.
Yeah.
He wants to be that guy. And because of that, he can't be himself. And there's a great like twist and like character development moment for him later on because of that.
Yeah, it's like, basically, the thing is, he wants to go to the dark side, but they're saying you're not ready yet.
Yeah.
So he basically took the scenic route. Like, he still went over to the dark side, but he did it his own way.
But also there's like, that is a way that separates him from like, say, Anakin, because Anakin, like, they kept like going, okay, well, he wants to be part of the light, but the dark is calling out to him. This dude wants to be part of the dark, but the light is still like, no, not yet, boy, get back here, get back here. And he's trying to let go of it. And I dig that about him. I also dig that, you know, he's kind of crazy, and I view that as being like a metaphor for like chemical imbalance, because like, yeah, man, you got the light and the dark inside you going back and forth at each other. He's going to be, you know, he's going to throw some temper tantrums in there.
And like, the thing is, I feel like, you know, a kid who has like no control and has temper tantrums is a far more greater threat than someone who is like calm and knows what to do.
The kid from that Twilight Zone episode with the telekinetic.
Yeah, exactly.
That, I can't remember the name of it, but the kid who, whenever someone was bad, would like alter reality and just mess them up. He turned that guy into a jack-in-the-box when he was being mean. He blinked that he wouldn't let anybody play music that they didn't like. Blinked them to the cornfield if they were being bad, which was just this infinite space of nothingness. Yeah, that scared the hell out of me, like, when I first saw that episode, because yeah, the idea of a child who does not really understand right and wrong, just what is good for me, having that much power, it's terrifying. This is kind of, yeah, it's somebody with insane levels of power. And yeah, they are just like, no, I want to be the bad guy. There was that moment at the beginning in which he's talking to Snoke and he's got the helmet on, and then Snoke just goes, take that ridiculous thing off. And I was like, I just pictured a little kid in the Darth Vader mask like, okay, Dad. Yeah, because Snoke is like the one guy who can like get this guy in line. And for anybody out there who's like, oh, well, I can't believe that, you know, Kylo Ren lost to Rey when he's been training with this his entire life and she's never picked up a lightsaber. First off, guys, he had been shot in the stomach by a gun that was compared to a cannon, had been slashed in the back. Yeah, man, he was on top of his entire planet was being destroyed, his mind was at ease. Of course he was going to lose that one. Yeah, that was the entire point of that moment. But in this, they actually do stop and like, Snoke is rubbing that in his face. Snoke is like, she had never even picked up a lightsaber and you lost. Yeah, I love that they were just rubbing that in his face. And I dug that they had like this connection, like Kylo and Rey. I don't mean like a connection like love connection. No. I mean like they had a connection throughout this in which they could like telepathically talk to each other, and they kept like having moments in which they would be like staring off and like they could see them there. And I dug that as a cool way to see them like talking to each other, because again, I was like, this is a way that it's different from the other ones.
Yeah, it's like, you can tell that they're connected not as like lovers, but as like two sides to one coin.
Yeah, basically. 2 sides to one coin, but also Luke never got to talk to Darth. Darth was always the big evil bad guy. I must go stop the big evil bad guy. Here, you have an entire movie where the hero is talking to the villain constantly, and one of my biggest complaints with movies that have heroes and villains is when they don't let them communicate to each other enough. This movie is just long stretches of communication between heroes and villains, and I really freaking dug that.
It's like conversation between the hero and villain and they're questioning their sides, their theories, their beliefs constantly.
I love that this is a movie in which throughout the entire thing, you're like, all right, he's trying to tempt her to the dark side. She's trying to tempt him to the light side. What's going to happen? Because like, this was a film that it really does set up early on. You don't know what's going to happen.
Like, this is like what really makes me interested in these Star Wars. It's like throughout Star Wars there's always dark side and light side, but they never talk about like the in between, the grayness.
And that feels like this movie is about the gray.
Exactly.
A lot about the gray. Because there's a thing going on in this film in which they are constantly talking about abandon the old. Let the old go. Stop holding on to that. And that, to me, I didn't just look at that as like, you know, kind of a metaphor for this franchise of like, we can't just keep talking about the old stuff. We gotta start doing some new stuff. But I also looked at that as the light and the dark, Jedi and the Sith. It's gone. Like, I mean, at the end of this, you know, they do say like, oh, there will be more Jedis. But throughout this entire movie, they're like, it's time for the Jedis to die, and they're talking about like light and dark and balance and all this. And I kept thinking, it's like, shoot. What if balance, like, because that's what all the Star Wars films have been about, balancing the Force. I mean, that was the prophecy that we had been following for 6 whole movies before this. What if balance doesn't mean equal amount of light, equal amount of dark? Or it doesn't even mean get rid of the dark completely and just have light? What if it just means no light, no dark, gray?
Yeah, exactly. I was thinking that too. It's like, there are two extreme sides. There's like, you know, they're like too far apart. So I feel like balance would be like having them merge, having them closer together in unison, basically.
Yeah, something like that. It did kind of feel like that's what this was going towards.
And it's like, it's obviously like the Jedi and everything like that's like based on religion and stuff. So it's like, I feel like, you know, like basically there's a point in here where Yoda's ghost, you know.
It's time that we get a spoiler.
Okay. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, we held off as long as we could.
Yes, we could.
We warned you guys that we would come up at any moment now. I will put like a little thing at the front of this that says we start talking about spoilers at this time. But yeah.
Yeah, so like basically Luke decides, oh, maybe it's time to like burn down the Jedi books and everything, but then he starts to hesitate a bit.
Yeah. There's this tree that Luke is holding the original Jedi text inside. And there comes a moment in which he's like, screw it, I'm fed with all this, I'm going to burn this all down. And he's like, I can't do it. And then you see Yoda's ghost behind him, and Yoda just goes, and a lightning bolt comes down and destroys it all. And I love that Yoda was a puppet.
Yes, I was so glad to see Puppet Yoda again.
And he was like, he was a ghost? If there was any time it would be okay to use CGI Yoda, it's when he has to be CGI anyways because he's going to be like not transparent. And yet they still made him a freaking puppet. In fact, the Porgs are puppets in here too for the most part.
Yeah, most of them, yeah.
Most of the animals are.
Yeah, it's like, I'm glad they use like a lot more of the animatronics as opposed to the CGI.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like anyway, basically he's saying like, you know, it is time to move on. The old scriptures are not that important, and I feel like that has to do with like basically like Christianity, like basically the, you know, a lot of like very conservative like Christians.
Oh,
yeah,
like,
I
see what you're saying. Okay,
yeah, it's like, oh, they want to like go by the Bible and everything. It's like, you know, this is that. It's like, no, that's not how things are done anymore. You need the message in the book is important, but not the details.
Not the words, yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Which that's basically what Yoda actually says to him.
Yes.
Like, oh, so you read all the Jedi books? He goes, yeah. He goes, page turners, they were not. And it was like, yeah, man, it's the texts themselves don't matter. It's the message. And
right.
Yeah, but also it was kind of like, yeah, man, stop holding on to that old shit. So yeah, I found that interesting, and also like, okay, now we're getting into real spoiler territory here on this one. When it gets to the point in which Snoke has Rey.
Is it Snoke or Snoke?
I thought it was Snoke with a P.
I thought it was K.
Man, who knows? When not Emperor is there, when Golden Emperor is there, wow, there's something you could read into. There is the moment in which he's got Rey there, and they establish this dude is super powerful. This guy, he blasts Kylo away with like a flick of his hand. He has got Rey, who was this big badass in the last one, because it's like, oh my god, I've never felt power quite like this. He has got her and was like, got her on a mental torture rack, and he isn't even standing up. He's not even trying. He is that powerful. And it gets to that moment in which Kylo is going to like, is holding the lightsaber in his hand, and Snoke has got her down on her knees and is like, yes, I can see it in his mind. I can see him twisting the lightsaber and turning it on. And then it's revealed Luke's old lightsaber that Rey brought with her and was there, Snoke was holding right next to him on the table. Kylo turned it and shot it right through Snoke.
And it was like he turned it the same time he turned the lightsaber in his hand. That way Snoke could not sense
kind of brilliant.
Yeah, that was really smart because like it's like he quickly figured out that Snoke can like sense a lot of things. Like he was the reason why Kylo and Rey were able to like
Which was a great, yeah, it made me look at Snoke and be like, oh shoot, this guy is really like a threat. Yeah. This guy's a big deal. Yeah, and I was looking, it's like, man, they are really setting this guy up, and then they kill him without even having to fight him. And I was like, holy shit. I was speechless at that. By the way, in case this video can't get monetized and it has to be submitted for manual review, to the person out there who has to watch this video at YouTube to make sure we're not doing anything crazy, at this point, there's still other things for me to spoil it in here. So if you haven't seen the movie and you're trying to save yourself some time, it's gonna be okay, man. I promise you we're not doing anything crazy in here. I'm not gonna do anything stupid.
We're just gonna spoil movies.
We're just spoiling a movie on a show about spoiling the movie. Just click the monetize button already. YouTube ain't paying you enough for this, man. Yeah. Just, yeah, click it. But
Go see the movie first before you monetize.
Monetize my video first so I can make money off this. So YouTube recently did a thing in which they say now we won't manually review something submitted for monetization until it hits 1,000 views. Do you know how many people out there were making money off YouTube by making like 3 videos a day that only got like 1,000 or 2,000 views each? You just cut almost all their money away because you're not going to go back and reimburse them for that 1,000 views that they got because there were no ads running during that 1,000 views. So you just basically took all their cash away. It's a total BS thing. It frustrates me so much. But yeah, anyway. But yeah, that was brilliant to me. The only problem that I have with it is that when he says, I can see him turning the saber, it then cuts to Luke's saber and we see it turning. If you had, at that moment, I realized what was happening. If you hadn't have shown that, I would have been taken even more by surprise by it. That's my one small complaint with how that was done. But I love that because holy shit, I did not see it coming. I was stunned at that. My only problem with it is, with the fact that they killed Snoke, is just like, who the fuck is this guy? Again, I said that was the thing that I was saving for the spoiler section. Everybody had their theories of, oh, is it the Emperor coming back to life? I thought it was Darth Plagueis, who I was talking about earlier. It's like, okay, it could be that guy. It could be like the guy who started the Sith to begin with. He could be thousands of years old. Who knows? And the fact that like he just killed instantly, I was like, this is another book you're going to sell us. Want to know the history of Snoke? Boop, you gotta buy this.
Like there was like a lot of fan theories that like Kylo would go to the light side and like help out Rey, and it's like I felt like that the part where he like killed Snoke is like, oh, this proves our point. He's gonna be a good guy now. I was like, nope, he's just taking over.
That's what I love about this too. He and Rey then have a fight scene like back to back going up against Snoke's like elite guards, and it is a cool ass fight scene. There is like, that's the amazing thing about lightsabers is because they cauterize the wound whenever they cut someone. You can show the bloodiest stuff, and yet there's a reason why there isn't blood. Because there is that moment, again, we're in full spoilers on this one. The moment in which like Kylo is being choked out by that guy, and then Rey throws her lightsaber to him, he catches it and just sorry, I just spit on you. And then he just moves aside, and you see the hole going through this guy's head. But because it's a lightsaber, it cauterized the wound, so you can actually show it. Yeah, man, it was a great fight scene. And I was kind of nervous at that moment, because I was like, okay, you've done a pretty good job showing that there is still light in this guy, and he has doubts. And if you want to have him go to the light side in this one, it would be different from Darth Vader in the previous ones, where he doesn't go to the light until the very tail end of the third movie. This would give us an entire movie where you have to see Kylo, this big bad guy, now on the good guy's side. And with them united, you could see them actually take down the Empire. But at the same time, it was like, yeah, man, you killed Han Solo. I ain't ready to see you be a good guy yet. I was not willing to accept it because I was like, you've done a pretty good job in this film, but man, you killed Han Solo, your dad. I'm not okay with seeing you, with rooting for you right now. And then he puts his hand out and he's like, join me and we'll roll together. And that's when he makes a speech. No, 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 you're holding on to the Jedi and let go of the old. And I was like, oh shoot. This is, sorry for the ambulance out there. That's when I was like, I get what this movie's about. It's about getting rid of the light, getting rid of the dark, gray, like all just one thing in the middle there. And I was like, oh shoot, if Rey joins him, that's totally what this movie is. Because they just said, screw those two sides, we're gonna form something in the middle, the gray there in the middle. I thought that would have been like a really interesting place to take this, but Rey doesn't do that. Rey decides
obviously.
to go, yeah, obviously not. Although that would have been a hell of a twist. But it then still, like, even if she doesn't do that, the fact that he's now running the Empire, again, it made me look at it like, this is different. I want to complain about the ways in which this movie is similar to the original, but in this one moment in which they take out their version of the Emperor and he becomes, you know, the Supreme Commander is dead, long live the Supreme Commander, in that moment I was like, it almost feels like all the comparisons this was making to Empire Strikes Back, and even how Force Awakens made connections to A New Hope, it feels like all the ways that those were similar were all leading up to this one moment in which they went, oh, you think you know what's gonna happen? Psych! And after that moment in the movie, I had no idea what was gonna happen.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, Kylo killed Snoke, so that's the end of the Empire, and, you know, Yoda burned down the book, so that's like the end of the Jedi.
In a way, yeah. Except that Kylo is now leading the Empire.
Yeah. So Kylo takes place of the Empire, and likewise, Rey kind of takes place of the Jedi.
Yeah, because, okay, final warning for spoilers. At the end of this, Luke dies, so it's like, oh, the big head, like, evil guy and the big head good guy gone? Which, I mean, don't get me wrong, Leia is now the big head good guy, but who knows what's gonna happen with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is one of those things in which it was like, but as far as like the Force goes, those were the two big sides, and it was like, oh shoot, they're both gone, and now the apprentices of both of them, which it feels kind of weird to call Rey his apprentice since she was only there for like a week, but it's the closest we got right now, because all the other ones are dead. But yeah, she is the last like Jedi in a way.
Hence the title.
Yeah. Except that at the end of this, the big twist is, I will not be the last Jedi. I was like, good for you. Good for you. So yeah, it is kind of like, okay, next generation taking over on this one. But what I love about Luke's death in here, you could, by the way, I am really sorry about that truck. It's gonna be gone in like 5 seconds. I'm also really glad we closed that window last night. This room had been freezing for like a week. Like, we had been like shivering in here, had like 2 heaters going, and we couldn't figure out why. And then I pulled the curtain back yesterday, and I noticed the window had dropped like that much and had been wide open. So yeah, we basically had ice forming in here. But yeah, the way that Luke dies, what I love about it is that, you know, we all know the spoiler from the last one of Han dying, and people went around telling everybody Han dies, Han dies. Like, people were trying to spoil this for everyone.
Yeah, people being real dicks about it.
Yeah, and like, we had people call my store and just go, are you planning on seeing the new Star Wars film? Yeah. Han dies in it, and then hangs up. Like, that literally was the thing that was happening. But
I understand people who do that, like literally like ruin people's fun.
What
like,
do you get out of it? I don't understand. That's the thing that I don't get. Are you getting paid to spoil this for people? Do you hate the person you're spoiling it for and you're getting revenge on them? Because you don't know us. If you're going into a chat forum, you don't know the people in this chat forum. You're literally ruining the day of someone you will never meet or have any connection to. how does that make you feel better? I don't understand that.
I don't understand trolls. I really don't.
It makes no sense to me. Also, if you're someone who does that, if you're someone who does that, how on earth are you watching Star Wars to begin with? Because it's basically an entire movie just where you have to connect to the villain. That's all I can imagine. Like, nobody who does that looks at Luke and thinks, yeah, that's like me. It's like, no, you're a fucking asshole. You're a piece of shit. You are not the good guy of your story. But anyway, aside from that. But with this one, if someone told you Luke dies, in the last one, if you heard Han dies, I wasn't that upset after I saw the film because I was like, I would have seen this coming a mile away. Like, the Nostalgia Critic did a great bit on it in which he, like, reenacted it out. And basically, he has the guy playing Han Solo come and go, Ben, I really hope that everyone out there forgets that I said that I would only come back and do this movie if I don't have to do any other movies. And also, I really hope that I originally wanted my character to die in Return of the Jedi. And also, I really hope... excuse me, Dad, could you stand on this spot here? Oh, yeah, sure, okay. Where was I, Ben? Okay. It's like, yeah, man, there's no way that you can't see this coming. But if someone tells you Luke dies in here, there are gonna be so many moments that you look at this and go, okay, it's now. It's now. It's now. It's now. It's now. It's now. Oh shit, it's not in those moments. The way that he dies, you couldn't see that coming at all.
Oh no, and the way they did it was great.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
I loved it. And man, we talk about how Mark Hamill just owns every scene he's in. When he goes out there to face the First Order and face Kylo, it's one of the most badass moments, and it is shot perfectly. I follow a Twitter account, I think it's called One Perfect Shot, in which it is one frame from a movie that just basically goes, here's the most memorable, perfect shot from that entire thing. When he goes out there and he's just one man standing against all these AT-ATs, I was like, that's it. That's the one perfect shot of this film. This is a gorgeously shot film. I gotta say that too.
Absolutely.
But when he goes out there and faces them, and they just start blasting away. First off, you can't show blood in these things or else it'd be rated R. But for some reason, the salt on the ground of this ice planet turns red when pressure is applied to it.
Like, I thought it was like a sheet of snow on top of a red salted...
Now, you know what, that's probably what it could be.
Yeah.
That actually makes sense. Okay.
Yeah.
That, I can understand that then.
Because, like, when he walks out and he, like, leaves red footprints and one of the...
That makes sense. I was wondering why he had to, like, press and go, solid. But yeah, when they are flying through the planet too, you see it's red on the inside.
Yeah, red crystals, red salt crystals, basically.
That makes sense, because I thought it was like the snow on this planet, like when you put pressure on it, it turns red for some reason. I didn't know. But that makes way more sense. But yeah, when they shoot at him, it's a giant geyser of red that blows up and goes, oh my god, did they just show a blood fountain on here? I was like, nope. They thought they came up with this whole idea of being red underneath snow specifically so they could lead up to this moment where it looked like they blew Luke Skywalker up. That was fucking... God, you're so genius on this.
I felt like that was the same reason why the Snoke's Guardians, like were also in red.
And the entire room is, which, god damn, that's a beautiful shot.
It was.
Inside, when it's just a completely red room, them fighting completely red guys, it just looks gorgeous. But yeah, they do nothing but just keep firing, and Kylo's like, keep firing, keep firing.
Yeah, once again, it's that like inner child coming out.
It is his little child, and like I love that makes him so different. And he's got that weenie guy Huck there with him the whole time, and he's like, I think you got him, sir. And like, I love how much of a weenie that guy is. I love that basically, man. Every single member of the Empire, they're like, give us your most asshole-ish expression. Can you do it? Cool, you're hired. This dude just leaned into what the Empire is, of being like the sniveling, weenie underbelly.
Yeah, like the weasel.
The weasel, perfect. But it kind of feels like they made him that way on purpose so that when Kylo takes over, and Kylo just beats the shit out of him every chance he gets, like, force choking him, throwing him in the walls. It's like, yeah, this is kind of what we had all been waiting for this entire time.
He's gonna be the punching bag, basically.
Exactly. But when all the smoke's cleared and Luke's just standing there, oh my god. By the way, I loved our fucking audience. Our audience was great in this movie.
Yeah.
First off, not only when Kellen said a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, not only did someone go, yes. But the lady sitting next to me, I don't know if you heard her, but the lady sitting next to me, she was vocal throughout this entire thing, but not in the like, oh, why is this happening? Oh, why is that? Oh, don't go in that room. I was just like, oh, yeah. Like she was leaning over to her husband the entire time, like, yeah, that thing, yeah. I was like, good for you. This is the kind of like talking in a movie I'm okay with. There was one moment. Oh, I'm trying to remember the exact moment. I think it's when they kind of like reveal that Luke tried to kill Kylo. I think that was it. But it was one of the big twists in here. One of the big twists in which, as soon as it happened, there was a beat of silence in the movie, and our audience was totally silent, except I hear click, 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 click. And I realized someone in the back was eating peanut M&Ms, and when they got to that, and you just heard it drop in the back and
like
roll down the
literally
stairs.
so sudden you could hear a pin drop.
We literally had that in the theater. I wish I could remember the exact moment. I think it was when they revealed that Luke tried to kill Kylo Ren. But yeah, not in like this moment. I mean like in his origin, when they revealed that like, yeah, Kylo, he had been tempted to the dark side, and Luke felt that darkness, and he was like, I gotta end it before it gets any worse.
Yeah, basically.
Which I really dig that, like, A, it shows you what it looked like from Kylo's point of view, in which he was like, he tried to kill me because he thought I was hopeless, so screw this guy. But at the same time, you then see it from Luke's point of view, in which he was like, yes, for a brief second, I thought about killing him. Then I stopped because I realized I was wrong, and I realized that it was a terrible thing for me to even think about doing. And that's the moment when Ben wakes up, looks at him, and is like, screw, oh man, he's trying to kill me, I gotta stop him. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you can see that that one moment of doubt he had, in a way, kind of cemented Kylo Ren, created Kylo Ren. But yeah, the entire like fight scene between Kylo and Luke, when Kylo runs in and slashes him across, I was like, this is gonna be the Obi-Wan moment in which like, after he gets sliced through, like Luke's gonna disappear and it's just gonna be the cloak, and the cloak falls down, kind of the same way that Obi-Wan did when Darth fought him. And you see Luke just standing there, and he puts the lightsaber through him, and I was like, throughout this entire time, I was thinking, they destroyed Luke's old lightsaber. How is he now holding his lightsaber? How is this happening here with this thing here? I don't understand. And then when it's revealed, he isn't there at all. He is just a projection of the Force. And you see Luke back on his island, like hovering. He is like concentrating so bad to make this happen. Dude, that was a great surprise. And the fact that Luke then dies after that, not because like Kylo killed him, but because in order to save the day, he pushed himself to his limit. Like went beyond anything he was capable of. And that just, it was his old body, just couldn't take it anymore. And you see he looks out in the distance and he sees something. I don't know what he saw. It was like some tiny thing in the distance. I thought it was a ship coming, but then it's gone in the next shot. And I was like, shoot, what was that? Could it have been like him imagining the Millennium Falcon, him imagining his old fighter pilot?
Maybe.
Yeah, playing something like that.
But like, I also like that it was a sunset when it happened. So like, that's great symbolism right there.
It's great
like,
symbolism. And
like,
it's, again, beautifully shot.
Yeah, it's like basically, you know, it's like the end of the Jedi and the end of his life and him like accepting it.
And even the end of the old franchise.
Yeah.
The end, because the only one, man, you pointed this out in the theater and it's really sad to talk about, but the only person who is still alive is Princess Leia from the old franchise. And Carrie Fisher isn't alive. So what are they going to do about that? And the thing that amazes me about this is that there's like 3 times in this movie where they really could have killed off Carrie Fisher.
Yeah.
Where they really could have killed off Princess Leia. And I was like, I bet they went back in here. I bet some of these Carrie Fishers are CGI and they put her in there and this is going to be her death scene that they went back and re-edited around. No, they didn't. They kept the story exactly the same. They did not go back and change this in any way. Which, by the way, we get to see Princess Leia finally use the Force. And I mentioned long ago when Disney announced they were doing another one of these movies and we first saw like that first trailer, I made a top 10 list of things that I want to see in upcoming Star Wars films. And one of them was, I want to see Leia use the freaking Force. Not like maybe anything big, even just something small like her grabbing a blaster or something with it. the fact that like we actually like saw her use it in here, I was like, that's all I needed. That's all I freaking needed. But she's amazing in here.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We'll get into her in just a second, but I do just have to say, I love that Luke's death, it is him being the hero, not him being struck down by the villain. It's him saving people. This entire movie was the guy who had been the hero. He had been a legend, as he keeps referring to himself. And he's like, yeah, but I'm not that guy anymore. That guy is dead. He's gone. It's over with. And then he becomes the legend there one last time, and it takes everything he has, but it's not, they even say it in here. I sensed Luke die. I sensed that Luke is gone, but it wasn't sadness that I felt. And I was like, yeah, he had the hero's death. That is honestly to me one of the best character deaths I've ever seen in a film. Because he has such a great arc in this movie, and it does really like, man, it takes him back to being the hero that he was. I think it's an amazing way for him to go out. And he even dies with his cloak falling to the ground because he fades away and joins the Force the same way that Obi-Wan did. So the symbolism of his cloak falling down the same way that Obi-Wan's fell down, it's freaking brilliant. I loved it. But yeah, let's talk about, I'm gonna make sure that the mic battery has not died, because the mic was on, I checked it. If the mic battery died, I'm gonna be pissed that we've been talking all this time without anything going on. Still good, still good. Okay. So let's see. Leia, I love that in the last one we didn't get to see much of her. We saw that she was like running the place, she was the general, but we didn't really see her doing much there. She just pops up for a moment, then she pops up for a moment at the end. She's in this a lot.
Yeah.
And she is running the place. In fact, yeah, like we see her like talking to Poe, and we all love Poe in the last one because he was, you know, he was the young hothead rebel fighter, and you know, he knew what was best and he had his instinct. And it starts off with him like cracking wise in the face of ultimate danger. I was like, I really like this guy. This guy's good. I like this guy. But then so many people die because of this mission they want to go on. And I love that Leia is just like, boy, come here, let me tell you something. Like, she is not afraid to like tell him, like,
she actually like smacks him and says, you're demoted. Like,
yeah, she tells him, what the fuck were you thinking? And the thing is, you can understand, like, it feels like this whole movie is setting up for Poe to be right. Because after Leia like goes into a little coma, they bring on this, like, the second in command. Like, she gets promoted, and now there's a new boss in town. And when Poe starts talking to her, he disagrees with everything she's saying, and you kind of get the sense, because the Empire can track them, that there's a traitor in their midst. And when Poe talks to her for the first time, they have like not the Empire theme, but a real close Empire theme ripoff playing. Like, it really is like dark, like, oh, she is not to be trusted music. And so then at the end, when it's revealed, no, she had a plan. This was all going according to plan. Poe, you're kind of almost getting us all killed with you acting this way. I was like, wow, kind of have to respect this movie for doing something like that.
It's like, another thing I respect this movie for is like more women in command.
There was a man. That is the thing that I really have to applaud them for with the Rebels, is that the Rebels, they were like, we're making sure we get people of all races and genders and everything. We're getting everybody in here. Because, yeah, man, the Empire is Nazis. I want to see a bunch of women and people of color fighting the Nazis. That's what I want to see. That's who the Nazis were trying to take out. You need to have them fight back. Makes the most fucking sense. Yeah, I saw people online like complaining like, oh, well, Disney has just made Star Wars all liberal. It's like, no, the Empire were always Nazis. If your point of views are now aligning with and sympathizing with the space Nazis, maybe you should re-examine yourself. Because they didn't change the Empire. The Empire's the same. And the Rebels are the same. They didn't do squat. You're the one who changed. So, okay. What else did I want to say? Oh, yeah. Speaking of that character, the one who takes over, I love that they do kind of set her up to not be... not know what she's doing, or to possibly be evil. And then at the end when it's revealed, no, I had this plan, I was on top of this. She even makes the heroic sacrifice. and she does something that I looked at and I was like, I've always wondered what would happen if this went down. In which she turns, faces the ship at the other ship, and goes into light speed jump straight at the Empire ship, and I've always been like, yeah, what would happen if somebody did that? That, we talk about this movie being gorgeously shot. God damn, the moment in which they blast into the other ship, and you just see like rows of explosions just going across that and just being frozen in time, no sound or anything. I was like, that's one of the most gorgeous things I've seen in a Star Wars film. That was amazing to look at. Most of the spoiler stuff we've been talking about is positive. There are two things I did have a problem with, though. One is I have been waiting since the last film to see Finn go up against Phasma. I had been waiting for that because everybody was like, oh, Phasma, they set her up and then they didn't do anything with her. I was like, no. All this was a tease. She's coming back in the next movie. I know that's coming. And then in the trailers, we see the two of them going at each other. I was like, oh, this is what I've been waiting for. Because Rey, she's got Kylo. She's got to go and fight Kylo. But you gotta give Finn someone to fight. You gotta give him someone to take down. And when you see that in the trailer, it's like, oh, it's him going up against his old boss. I can't wait for this. Man, it feels like they got the actress who played Phasma on set for a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, this really was a letdown to me. I know a lot of people out there who are really pissed because they feel like the reveal of Snoke, that he was nobody, it's like, oh, all your theories, fuck your theories, they're not anything. And also the reveal about Rey, that her parents were nobodies, that like when he reveals like, yeah, you're nobody special. Your parents were not Obi-Wan Kenobi. Your parents were junk traders and they just abandoned you. That's the secret origin of Rey. I know a lot of people who were pissed about that. And honestly, I can understand it because you spent all this time with that idea of it being set up as something great and then having that taken away. I can understand it, but at the same time, I applaud this movie for that. At the same, like, I understand the outrage at, but at the same time, I'm okay with it because it is such a great twist. And also, the message of Rey being this powerful, not because she's someone special, it's actually kind of important to where this movie ends. And we'll get to that in just a second. However, you want to talk about things that were really built up and then didn't pay out? The build up between Finn and Phasma, it's like 3 hits back and forth. Like bam, bam, oh, Finn's down, Finn comes back up, smash her across the face. I was like, man, this could have been a really kick-ass moment, and it really feels like it was way too short. I wanted to see this extended. I wanted to see this be a big deal, and it really just didn't feel like it was to me. There are gorgeous fights in here. I mean, the fight with Kylo and Rey, in which they're just fighting over the lightsaber, and then they break it. That's an incredible moment in here. It is. But then this is like the one fight moment in which I'm like, man, I've been waiting on this, and the other problem I had, that is a spoiler thing, is the romance at the end of this. Because at the beginning of this, when Finn first meets Rose is like, oh shoot, you're that, oh, I've heard all about you, this is great. And I was like, I know what you gotta start setting some stuff up here. And then they go on the secret mission together, and I was like, alright, we're gonna get some more stuff here. You don't get anything during the rest of this film, I feel like there is nothing else like romantic between these two, like no like connection between the two of them. The rest of the time that we spend with Finn and Rose is Rose telling Finn her origin story, rather than actually seeing them connect, I felt. And then at the end of this movie, when she saves him, which by the way, you want to talk about a movie where I did not know what was going to happen, I actually thought they were going to kill Finn. It's like, I really thought that was going to happen.
I was so worried. It's like, you can't just give us this wonderful character and then kill him off in the next movie.
I was like, oh my god. This is, oh. I was holding my breath in that moment. Man, way to go, film, for being able to manipulate me so well on that. But then she comes in and she knocks him out of the way and saves him. And then she goes, it's because we don't win by giving up things. We win.
It's like, we don't win by fighting what we hate. We win by saving what we love.
Yeah. And then she comes up and kisses him. And I was like, again, I saw a glimmer of this when you two first met. We haven't had any of this throughout the entirety of this movie. At least in my opinion. Maybe you saw something
like, well, here's the thing. Like, she was like a fangirl, basically. So yeah. I didn't really feel like a romantic connection with them exactly. But like I was hoping like as they got to know each other better, they meet more like friends, like platonic friends, because like they basically like Poe is and Finn are gay for each other. Like that's
Here's the thing, man.
That's what I've heard, and it's like, here's the thing, when Rose went to like kiss Finn, he had this look like, what the fuck, don't you know I'm gay? Like, that's the kind of face
Here's
he
the
had.
thing. That, to me, is also the reason why I'm like, oh, I'm not okay with this. Because the look on his face was like, no? The look on his face was like, okay.
I don't swing that way, I'm sorry.
Well, I'm not even going that, but he had a look on his face like, I like you as a friend. Like, he had that look on his face like, and that to me also takes away from like, this should be like the big like, you know, oh man, they're coming together. We didn't get anything this entire movie aside from that opening of like seeing them like being romantically involved, or like seeing them even like really start to like each other more, just like them being informed about each other. And then when they kissed, he just has that look of like, no. And I was like, yeah, man, it really makes Rose seem, that's one of the reasons why I'm sorry, I didn't care for Rose all that much.
Yeah, I wanted to like Rose.
I did, because when you first meet her, it's like, okay, she's like the maintenance girl, and she never gets to be on the front line, but now she's going to the front line, this is gonna be awesome, and we're gonna see like, okay, well, I'm seeing a lot of telling, not a lot of showing with her. And what you're just talking about her backstory rather than actually exploring it more, or actually like seeing her like do some stuff, aside from that moment when she freed the horses. That was good. But aside from that, I was like, okay, I could use more of like actually seeing her like progress through this story, rather than it feeling like she's already progressed to the point that she's supposed to be at before this movie even started. But then when it got to that moment when she kissed, I was like, for real? Because aside from that opening, I did not get a sense of any of this. It feels like they just had to have a romance in here. But the fact that Finn looked at her like, oh no. And I was like, wow, that takes away anything I could have felt from this moment.
I honestly thought Rose was gonna die from that. And I thought the kiss was like gonna be the last thing she did before she passed away. So I thought that's what happened. But it turns out she's still alive, just very badly
Kind of like how Finn was in the last movie, in which he had now going like coma. She's now like in a coma as well. And there's a moment when when Finn is putting her down in bed, and he's looking at her like, oh shit, how am I gonna deal with this when she wakes up? Like, even then he has to look on his face like, oh, well, this just makes things complicated. But my other problem with that moment is, Ray, when he is putting her down, Ray is looking at him like, oh no, could they be together now? Because I want to be with Finn. And I was like, man, I didn't get anything from you two in the first one. Like in the first one, I at least got that Finn was really into Ray. And even when Finn wakes up, he is like, where's Ray? That's the first thing he's asking. So it's like, okay, I get that Finn is into Ray. Like if you had seen Finn looking over at Ray talking to Poe, and been like, okay, he's just him, that I would have been able to buy. I never once bought that Ray. I bought that Ray was into Finn the same way that Finn is into Rose. Like, cause she always in that first movie was just like, but why are you talking to me? Like, yeah. So in this one, man, when she is now just suddenly like, oh, could they be an item? I was like, don't do this love triangle crap. We're not into that. Although also I'll say, I do love that when Poe met Ray and they introduced each other, it was like, oh yeah, you two never actually talked in the last one. It's kind of interesting that we have like 3 major characters of this next generation of Star Wars characters, and 2 of them had never even spoken. But again, in that moment in which they introduced and they talked, I saw more chemistry between those 2 than I saw between anybody else in this entire franchise, aside from Finn and Poe. Like, the reason why I feel like so many people like ship those 2 together is because they're the only 2 people in this franchise who, when they talk to each other, are actually like, oh, hey man, hey you too, yeah, come on, yeah, oh my goodness, this guy. They're the only 2 of these new characters who actually like feel the same way towards each other when they actually interact. Because like Finn is always like, oh hey Ray, what's up, hey, how's it going, man? And Ray's just like, oh hey Finn, hey, it's cool. I mean, she's happy to see him in this one, but it's not like, yeah, I mean, it is like, oh yeah, hey, what's up? And the first one, she was like, yeah, whatever, I don't care. And this one, yeah, Finn is interested in Rose's backstory. He cares about her as a person. But yeah, man, as you said, the look on his face after he gets kissed is like, oh, Yeah. So it's this very weird thing of Rose is chasing Finn, Finn is chasing Rey. Rey was not chasing anyone, but now suddenly it feels like she's into Finn, which I didn't see that in the previous ones. But as I said, that one moment between Poe and Rey, I was like, you two actually seem like you can actually get along. Like, I would buy this, and you've only said one line to each other. So yeah, it's a very weird situation, and it feels like it wasn't necessary at all. Like, it feels like you don't need a romance in a Star Wars movie. Doesn't have to happen. Like,
it would be great if you had, like, another character, another female character, but you don't introduce her like that.
Yeah, so. That was my other problem, is that I was like, okay, another female character, awesome. Oh, she's kind of just here to be a love interest. That's not the best way to do this. Okay, alright. So is there anything that we haven't talked about yet?
The very last, scene.
Oh, shit, yes, okay. I mentioned how, like, Rey coming from nobody and that being her parents plays into the end of this great. When they meet these kids at the stables, and the kids are basically child slaves, and they, like, say, we're from the rebellion, and the kids are like, oh. And then they're talking about how it's like, no, our stories will go on, the rebels, like, we can rebuild, there's always hope. Because that's always been the point of these Star Wars films, there's always hope. The rebels at the end of this, they can all fit on the Millennium Falcon. All, like, 90% of the rebels are dead at the end of this. You want to talk about, you know, The Empire Strikes Back, ending in a dark place? Oh boy! I honestly thought they were going to kill all the rebels in this one, except for Rey and Finn. Like, I thought that was going to be it. But at the end of this, like, they're talking about how, like, no, like, there's always hope for tomorrow. And then you see those stable kids, they've made little straw toys themselves, and they're telling the story of Skywalker and Darth Vader to each other. I was like, oh my god, that's beautiful. Like, the story goes on, the hope remains. That's so amazing. And then at the very end, I don't even know how many people in the audience caught it. Like, if you blink, you're gonna miss it. But there's a moment in which the slave owners come back, tell them to go to work, and this little kid goes out, wait for that truck. The little kid goes out to start, like, sweeping up, and he just reaches out, and the broom just telekinetically comes in his hand. Like, he just uses the force to grab the broom. It was like,
yeah, it was, like, I think there were, like, very silent gasps.
I heard, like, 2 or 3, like, like, in the, like...
And like you said, it's really subtle. It's like, it could have been, like, to the untrained eye, it could have looked like that the broom fell over, and he just caught it. But I was like, no, that's definitely...
That was the force.
Yes.
And then at the end, you see he's now holding the ring that Rey gave him with the rebel symbol.
No, the Rose gave him.
Rose, sorry.
Yeah.
That Rose gave him with the rebel symbol. I was like, that is an amazing way to end this. And honestly, I would be very interested in seeing... I mean, they keep talking about how, oh, we're doing a 3rd trilogy after that. It's like, I think you just introduced your hero for the next 3rd trilogy in that moment there. But I would be very interested if for episode 3, they just jump ahead by 10 years.
Yeah, it's like, I can totally, like, see Rey, like, teaching these kids how to use the Force and everything.
Yeah.
And, like, basically making, like, a new saga for the Jedi, like, a new...
Yeah. Yeah.
A new way of the Jedi, basically.
And also, you want to talk about what to do about the Carrie Fisher situation? You jump ahead by 10 years, and you just have, like, have her have a little tombstone there next to Luke there on the island. It's like, yeah, she passed away silently one night, and it's like, okay, if you do that in between, like, if these movies take place within a month, and you say that happened, it's like, oh, that's kind of like, it's kind of a raw thing to do to Leia. But if you jump ahead by 10 years, a lot more, a lot more understandable. Or even you could jump ahead by 10 years and then have Rey, like, confront Kylo and say, like, I'll never forgive you for what you did to Leia, and then it's like, ooh, cool, that's all we need to know, got it.
But I don't know if he would, because, like, when he was shooting, like, when he was firing on the ship, he hesitated at shooting
That's why I'm really, like, that's why part of me does actually want to see them recast Leia. Because you need to see an interaction between Leia and Kylo. You need to see that happen. Because she is the one thing holding him to the light side right now. The one thing keeping him from going full on evil. But at the end of this, after he kills Snoke, you kind of get the feeling like, no, now I'm ready to go and do this.
It's like, I feel like there's no turning back.
The dog is off his leash right now, So yeah, I don't know what they're going to do with this, but yeah, if you jump ahead by like 10 years, I can see that being really cool, but you would have to recast some of these actors and actresses. That's my one kind of problem with that, because like, I like these actors and actresses, I don't want to see any of them go away. But also, man, if you do that, then you are going to miss out on the idea of Leia interacting with Kylo. But if you have Kylo, I'm sorry, but if you don't jump ahead, then you can have that interaction, but you would have to recast Leia. So it is a very weird situation.
It's like, you didn't bring this up, but it's like when Luke was basically refusing to teach Rey the way of the Jedi, like R2-D2 shows up and
that
and just shows him the message of Leia saying he's her only hope. And it's like, that's rude. That's cruel.
That was a cheap move.
That was a cheap move.
Yeah.
But it worked. And that's such a great throwback too.
It is. I mean, he's now Obi-Wan. And that was what got Obi-Wan to go, all right, time to dust off this and go out there and be a hero again. Yeah, man, it came back around. Like, this is an amazing progression of these characters. And like I said, it's one of the reasons why this is one of the best endings to a character story I've ever seen. Like, man, Luke Skywalker, this cements him being one of the best characters in film history to me, is how they handled his end here. But as I said, I got problems with the second act of this movie. I think there are a lot of problems with the second act of this film. A lot of it just being like, okay, you're just kind of like doing random stuff for random reasons. I don't think Rose is handled nearly as well as the other new characters. And also, just speaking in terms of pacing, there's 4 acts to this movie. I don't know if you like kind of like felt that way too, but it's like, when it gets to them going onto the Empire ship, in which you have like Rey facing Kylo, Kylo taking down Snoke, in which you have like Phasma fighting Finn, the whole breakout thing, them getting betrayed by Benicio del Toro's character. That's an act, and that's definitely the third act. Like them on the casino planet is the second act. This is definitely the third act. Then it just goes, and I was like, man, that's where it ends. It ends with the lightsaber being broken. He is now the new
Emperor.
Emperor.
I seriously thought that too. It's like, oh, it's gonna end here on a cliffhanger, but it just kept going. It's like, okay, no.
And it doesn't just keep going. It goes for like another 30 minutes.
Yeah, like...
It's a 4th act to this film is when they get down there. It's like, this just... Man, it does kind of feel like, shouldn't we have wrapped up at this point? But man, part of me would want to come in here and complain because it really feels like you didn't go out at the best possible moment. But goddamn, that 4th act is really freaking good.
Yeah.
I have problems with the 2nd act, but the 3rd and 4th acts of this film are freaking amazing. And man, it's one of those things in which is like, I'm gonna give this probably like an 8.5, and I hate myself for doing that, because this movie has got 10s all over the place in it. Just there are those moments that are like, there's also 6s all over the place. I'm like, god damn, it's like, it's not an 8.5 all the way through. It is like, and it's like, even though I've probably ranked 10 other movies this year with higher scores than what I'm giving this, this is still probably going to make it into my top 10 list, because goddamn, when this movie is good, it's so freaking good. The goods in here, it makes me want to overlook the bad, but well, not bad, but just the whatever moments. But I can't not do it, because you gotta sit through those whatever moments to get to the really good stuff. Yeah, I don't know, what if you had to give it a score, what do you think you probably give it?
I guess maybe a 90.
9?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I was really like, man, I was fighting giving this one a 9, but yeah. Of course, then I don't know. I still haven't finished writing the script for my for the review. I might come up with some different stuff to talk about then. But if you want to know how thick and packed this movie is, this has been one of our longest post-Geekout rants.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We are about to run out of tape probably, so we're gonna wrap up. I can't think of anything else that we haven't talked about yet. I will just say, the weird walrus things that he drinks milk from, I could have done without that scene, but aside from that...
That's gonna be like the new drink they sell at Starbucks.
You know people would buy it. Although I will say, at least that served a purpose, because if you want to have one shot in this movie that sums up that Luke does not give a fudge anymore, that's it. That did it. So even though I could have done without that shot, it was there. Also, I did like, as much as the porgs served no purpose here, I did like that they were basically rats. that they basically just infested the Millennium Falcon, and Chewbacca was just like, get out here, get out of my face.
Like, I thought they were like more like puffins because...
Oh no, don't get me wrong. They're puffins mixed with hamsters in design, but the way that they just overran the Millennium Falcon, it was like if you got rats onto your boat. And
Fair
they're
enough.
just like, they're breeding everywhere, they're setting up nests everywhere, like
rats and seagulls.
Rats, seagulls, bed bugs, just anything that's like, yeah, when they get in there, they're all over the place and you have to keep shooing them away. I kind of dug that. Okay, I literally can't think of anything else to say. So yeah, if you guys like this, then make sure to click that subscribe button. We do these every single weekend on this channel, which we talk about whatever the big new release is of the week. And there is no big new release. We talk about whatever the small releases are. And we're getting close to the end of the year. I mean, it's almost time for when we go back and we review all the best films of the year and the worst films of the year. So we have that coming up. So thank you guys for tuning in. Click that subscribe button. Follow us on Twitter, Twitch, and Tumblr @ProfessorThorgy. Come back next time.
Bye.